Steve, aka Dynasty Santa. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Dynasty Santa on Twitter.
Oh, you're quiet.
Uh-oh. Hang on. Is that any better?
No.
All right, just skip these.
Okay, Logan. We'll go back to Santa here.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Logan. I'm at Sports Talk Smart on Twitter. I do the weekly rankings, and then I've also got dynasty rankings, redraft rankings, season long, IDP, any type of super flex, tight end premium, all that stuff.
So, okay, so OBJ obviously signs with the Rams this week, and then the same day he signs with the Rams, Robert Woods is out for the year with a knee injury. So I know as for myself, I had Cooper Kupp, little angry that the Rams signed OBJ. Then Robert Woods gets hurt, and now I'm happy again. I mean, it's unfortunate for Woods to go out like that. I don't want to wish injuries upon anybody, but I'm happy Cooper Kupp's going to be getting his touches. What do you guys think about this whole thing?
Yeah, I think we're going to see kind of an interesting dynamic with OBJ. He wouldn't have to be the focal point of an offense and be the number one guy. So that was going to be kind of interesting to see him thrive in maybe some single coverage roles and getting moved around a little bit. But we know Kupp, they like Kupp in the slot. I think they could have done a lot of stuff though. They could have been even more deadly of a passing attack. But I think this week you're looking at Van Jefferson kind of absorbing the Woods role, and then OBJ's not a bad flex play. I think he's still got some appeal there, but yeah, it's just a bad situation. I had to drop Woods in 7 of 8 redraft leagues. So he was in most of those leagues. I was on the Robert Woods, Allen Robinson, Laviska Shenault, Brandon Ayuk. My receiving core in some of these leagues are just rough, especially losing Woods. But yeah, I look for Van Jefferson, especially as a dynasty asset going forward, because OBJ is I expect it to probably be just this year, to be honest. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it changes Kupp that much at all. I think he is who he is. His standalone value doesn't change, I don't think, with who's there or not there. Van Jefferson's the guy, that vault catapults up. People were already excited about him with Deshaun's departure and then some of the injuries that were happening. And then, Beckham signed and people were upset, and now that, Beckham's there and Woods got hurt, so now we're back to Van Jefferson has a role again, and I like that a lot. I like Odell there. I think it might take a couple games. I don't, obviously quarterback, wide receiver combo, him and Stafford, probably it'll take a little bit of time to gel a little bit. I don't, unless you have to, wouldn't play him right away today. I don't think. But like Logan was talking about with the rosters and the guys that already have been out this year, and guys that haven't produced, you play them, you almost have to. So.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
All right, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously before Woods got hurt, it was like a very meh signing, I think. But now that he's down, I think it could actually help Kupp because OBJ is still a very obviously talented receiver, so he's going to demand attention from defenses. So that could still open up those, short lanes that Kupp thrives in. So I think it could be beneficial for both of them. As far as starting in this week, yeah, I mean, it's a total 50-50. We have no idea what's going to happen. He could easily catch a deep bomb or go like 2 for 35. Like, it's going to be feast or famine for OBJ this week. And then long term, I'm a seller personally. I would pretty much take what you can get for him. Not as much believer long term.
Are you guys surprised he's starting first week? Is he going to be ready? Is he going to know enough plays?
That's the tough call. Like, does he know the playbook? Who else do they have after losing Woods? That's the other part. I mean, their rookie Tutu Atwell is done, I think, for the year, or at least this week. I know he ran into some injuries. And then there's good old Van Jefferson, who, is very mediocre wide receiver. So I think he does start. I think they have to throw him out there. I think he's good enough to have picked up as much as he can in the short times.
So Clinton, is Van Jefferson a play for DFS?
I think today only if you really want to go down that value, the value chart. I think there's a couple other guys in there like Peoples Jones and stuff, probably around those price ranges that I would play over Van Jefferson. But yeah, if you want to put him in there, I don't think it's going to hurt you. I don't think a lot of people are, I don't think he's going to have a ton of plays. It shouldn't be too chalky. So, there's no, downfall of that, but a guy like Peoples Jones, I was looking at Tyler Johnson a lot this week, but it sounds like Godwin might play. So I would probably now stay away from that unless you think Godwin's going to leave the game and you're going to need, you put somebody in like that at around those price ranges. But.
So we got our first question in from Ray, and he's asking, David Long is out. Who do I pick up, Kazir White or Jayon Brown?
I think Jayon Brown, he's back. I mean, he was the starter in the middle there prior to going down, and then David Long kind of took over that role. So I think he's the easier and safer plug and play. But White is, he's not a scrub. He's been playing well recently. And who's their matchup this week? Who do the Chargers have? The Vikings, right. Yeah. So that's going to be a ton of Dalvin Cook down here. So it should be a lot of opportunities. Honestly, they're probably going to produce very similarly. I think if you had David Long, it's probably easier to replace him with Jayon Brown and a little more comforting. But if you want to potentially take the higher ceiling play, that might be White. But they should produce at the end of the day pretty similarly, I think.
Yeah, I've got Kaiser White 2 spots higher this week. I pretty much put Jayon Brown almost where I had David Long, a few spots below. But like Santa said over here, you're going to be getting the healthy dosage of Dalvin Cook. And I think Kaiser White might be the play more long-term as well if you're picking one up. Because like he said, Jayon Brown's been the starter, but if David Long comes back from his injury, it sounds like it's just like a week-long thing probably. They're going to be coexisting. So I think Kaiser's your play for a little bit.
Yeah, for the rest of the season, absolutely. That makes sense too, because Jayon's I feel like he got injured, came back, got injured again. So like he seems to be going back and forth. So if White can even just stay healthy for this week and moving forward, that might be the better pickup.
And then Cheat is saying Santa got a hat.
Finally. I just got to rep the brand, baby.
Turn White closer to Christmas.
Yeah. Well, the way it's going, it might be there.
So it's time to revisit some big news that happened last week, which was Von Miller being traded to the Rams, and it looks like he should probably make his debut today, as long as his ankle's feeling good. How does this help their defense? And as far as IDP, does this help Aaron Donald?
Sure, of course it does. The defense as a whole, he's still got juice left in the tank. So as a team defense, they're going to be even better. I feel like he's kind of similar to the Leonard Floyd role, and Leonard Floyd's been eating this year, sacks and a decent amount of tackles. So I'm worried about the production for Leonard Floyd and for Von Miller, because I feel like they're very similar roles. Donald, yeah, sure. Anytime you can allow him to potentially go one-on-one with just about any offensive lineman, he's going to win that matchup 9 times out of 10. So the more help and distractions they can get for him to be in that type of a position, the better. Donald, I feel like he's been a little slow this year. And not producing like we're used to. So maybe the second half here, he gets it going finally with the addition of Miller. I think, it definitely helps everyone.
Yeah, I think adding someone like Von Miller can never hurt. Definitely, like Steve said over here, if Aaron Donald, you get a chance to take some focus off of him, it's just a huge win there. But yeah, Leonard Floyd's been doing fine, so I'm curious how Von Miller, fantasy wise makes an impact, but on the field he's going to be an impact for sure. But
I
yeah,
feel like fantasy, they're just going to eat into each other kind of, so it might be frustrating. Like I've had Leonard Floyd in a couple places, so I feel like I'm going to be pretty frustrated the rest of the year because we're going to see Von Miller probably take a couple sacks away from him. But yeah, as a whole, I mean, it's a great addition.
Clinton, do you got anything to add to this conversation?
I mean, no. I mean, I'd say the defense as a whole. I mean, if you're playing, redraft leagues and things like that, that's a pretty good grab now. They kind of already were, but yeah, I don't individually. It's kind of a mix. You just don't know what you're going to get with multiple guys in there. Although it helps Donald. I mean, immensely. Anybody that can free up some space in the middle for him to get through there is going to be an asset. So yeah.
Logan, did this move anybody up in the rankings that you have on the LA's defense?
Yeah, like I was saying, we also he didn't play last week, so we don't know. But it moves Von Miller up from where he was in Denver. Just he was down in the kind of defensive line 3 weeks sometimes. So I've got him up as a decent play, as a low end 2. And it tempers expectations for Floyd. Like Steve said, Floyd's been playing really well, but I've still got him as, up there pretty high. So fantasy wise, not a ton. It makes Von Miller a little more playable, I guess. Donald keeps him up in the top still, but yeah, not a ton of fantasy asset, more of a real, live or on field benefit.
Okay. So a Facebook user asked, AJ Green, Tim Patrick, or Deontay Harris?
Every time I don't play Tim Patrick, he scores a touchdown. If he's healthy, I think that's the guy I'd play. The Bengals, they have a pretty tough matchup today, don't they? And AJ Green, yeah. I don't know. Or not the Bengals, geez, the Cardinals. Yeah, so I think I'd go Patrick there this week if he's playing. I think he was on the injury report most of the week, but I haven't heard that he's not playing. So I'd go with Patrick.
Yeah, that was the only thing that would potentially put me off Patrick would be the injury. And Judy is back for the second week. They seem to really like to design plays for him. So Patrick is sort of entering that like TD or bust situation, but we've seen him, take care of business. But it usually is like for me and Clinton when he's on our bench. So now we'll start him, and now he won't do anything, which makes me want to lean towards AJ Green.
Yeah,
I know the quarterback. Yeah, I know the quarterback situation with McCoy is not great. And he was just on the COVID list, so I don't think he's really probably going to see much after effects. Definitely not Deontay Harris. I mean, we all know what he is. He's a desperation Hail Mary touchdown play. If you don't get a 70-yard touchdown from him, you're probably getting like 1 or 2 points, if that. So he's definitely third on the choices there. And yeah, Green's been pretty solid. Patrick was more consistent, like you said, when Judy was out. So, man, this is really tough. I think, weirdly, Green might have the safer floor play, and Patrick might be your ceiling play, depending on how much you want to gamble there and take the risk. But, yeah, man, that's really tough between them two. So I'm leaning AJ Green, but it's like 55-45 between him and Patrick, with Deontay far third.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got Patrick, I think, is probably the play there. He's probably a little safer. I was worried about the injury through the week, but it sounds like he's going to play. I think he's got a good floor and a decent ceiling. AJ Green honestly worries me a little bit. I think he's got a little bit of a floor, but almost no ceiling, to be honest. Deontay Harris is interesting. I know Steve said he's definitely not playing Harris, but he's got 15 targets through the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he has been decent lately, yeah.
He's been getting peppered, and they don't have Kamara this week, so normally I would bet against anyone else getting a touchdown, but without Kamara, anybody could be in line to get a touchdown there, and I just have some kind of feeling that Deontay Harris might get a little bit of action in some screen games like they get Kamara in space, because he's explosive. I mean, he's a fast little guy, so and he's a return man if you get the return points. So he's an interesting definitely boom or bust, but the 15 targets through the last 2 weeks, he was 6 of 8 last week with 50 yards. So that's a reasonable floor. I think Patrick's your floor play, your safe play, but if you want to throw a dart, Deontay Harris could be a sneaky play. He's very intriguing for me, honestly, this week.
With all three of them being so unexciting options, then yeah, why don't you go with the Hail Mary and Harris and have a little fun with it?
Yeah, you're looking at floors with the other two and a potential of maybe a kick return, catching a long bomb.
Very
yeah,
good.
Harris is super intriguing.
Nice.
All right. Triggerfinger asked, thoughts on starting Smoot this week?
God.
So we'll start with that first part of the question.
I'm pulling up to want to see how many snaps he was playing. I mean, he's certainly not an exciting player.
So he goes on to say Montez Sweat is hurt and Hendrickson is on bye. He has limited options.
I'd be curious what some of the other limited options
Right.
Yeah, I mean, also he's had 2 sacks in back-to-back weeks. I guess that's why he's on the radar. But only 3 tackles in each of those weeks, playing 36 and 55 snaps. So he's getting snaps, but so what? He's a sack or bust guy pretty much. And he had a forced fumble last week, so I see why he's on the radar. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of forced into playing that position. They're playing the Colts, and Carson Wentz, we know, has the potential to be very sloppy with the football. So I'm sure it's not the worst option out there. Probably not super confident playing him, right? But you're riding that hot wave, so why not?
Yeah, and even the game before, not week 6, but week 5, he had a sack and a half as well. So 3.5 sacks in his last 4 games and a forced fumble. And yeah, like Steve said, Wentz has a tendency to sometimes be sloppy. I could see him holding on to the ball. And yeah, I think you're riding that out and hoping for a sack or bust play. But if you do check and want to send in another one, maybe send some other limited options and see what.
Let us know what else you have. Yep.
So we'll just go ahead and move on until hopefully he gets back to us and lets us know what options he has. So Big Ben was just put on the COVID list. Mason Rudolph is coming in. What is this doing to their offense? Is this forcing the Najee to get even more carries? Can he even carry any more than what he's already carrying? Because this poor kid's just being run into a wall right now.
Yeah, I've got Najee as a top 5 option this week. I had Freiermuth down or up in 7 or 8, but I think with Big Ben out, I moved him back down towards like 10, 11, 12. He's still, I think, a good play, but you got to temper some of that. I think Big Ben was really starting to find a groove with him in the red zone. So Freiermuth is touchdown. I would say I would have bet on a touchdown this week as a yes, but with Big Ben out, I'd be leaning towards a no. He still looks like the target though with Claypool out, so I still like him. But yeah, Najee's a top option right there with Cook and Taylor and McCaffrey and Eckler. Like he's in that. He could be the RB1 this week for sure.
This is just such a hard thing. Like, hopefully you aren't forced to play Rudolph and you're probably in trouble. But I don't know. I mean, Big Ben hasn't been great. The offense is doing fine. It's hard to know. I mean, can Rudolph move the ball down the field a little better? We'll see. I think he's thrown 15 touchdowns in the games that he's had to step in and play for them. I think he'll be okay. But yeah, obviously it launches Najee up there. The only problem is their teams, which I guess they already probably are, focusing on stopping the run. So they're going to continue to do that. I still like Pat this week if they get down to the red zone, like you said. But yeah, Deontay, I don't know. It doesn't change your offense too much, in my opinion. Still, whatever. Nobody's going out of their way to play Ben anyway. So I don't know if Mason's that much different at this point.
Right. Rudolph's been there. He's been in the system. Obviously not anywhere nearly as talented, even as Ben at this advanced age, but he knows the system, and I think he gets the job done. I think I saw a tweet someone like the last time Mason played and Deontay was healthy, he just got like all of the targets. So hopefully he can actually capitalize and be efficient with those targets. But I mean, he could see 20 targets today easily. I think it lowers Pat a little bit just because I don't know if they have the chemistry and how if Rudolph's going to rely on him or if it's just going to be all Deontay and dump off to Najee. And I share the same sort of pessimistic sentiment on Najee a little bit, just because I feel like they're going to know that, yeah, since Ben's out, like, as long as we take care of Najee, we're going to make Mason Rudolph beat us. And I would be pretty happy with that situation as the opposing team.
So do the Lions get the first win?
I still think Pittsburgh beats them.
Yeah, the defense is too good in Pittsburgh still. I mean, if it's any week, possibly, but I mean, maybe slap a 1% chance on there.
Yeah, and they're in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So I'm kind of in that kind of situation where I wanted to start Pat because at the time Big Ben was still in and they did have a connection going on. But now I'm thinking about starting Noah Fant. Do you think that's a good switch right now?
Yeah, I like Fant a lot as a player. And who do they got? They got Philly this week, right? Philly gives up a ton of points to the tight end. So, yeah, if I were doing rankings, I would have Fant above Patty for sure.
Yeah, Pat moved from 2 spots ahead, or a spot ahead of Fant with Big Ben in there, down to 2 spots behind Fant with him out. So, but I still got him as in my top 12. So I mean, he's a start.
All right, Triggerfinger got back to us. He says, if not Smoot, I could grab Carl Nassib, Dante Fowler, A'Shawn Robinson, Everson Griffin, or Michael Brockers as other options.
Yeah. Okay, I think you're on the right path with Smoot then. Yuck. I mean, Fowler was doing okay before he got injured. I'm just worried about the first week back from injury. You never know how many snaps these guys are going to get. And who's Atlanta got? The Cowboys. I don't know that. Did Dak get sacked a lot? I don't think so. Just a gut feeling. I don't know off the top of my head. So I'd probably still roll with Smoot there. But if of that list, Fowler is intriguing coming back off IR. So call it 60-40 maybe. Smoot, Fowler.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a homer. If I were going to pick anybody there, I'd go with Everton. I feel like he's actually been playing pretty well since they brought him back. And, Hunter's out. That's probably the other problem, though, is they'll probably focus on Griffin on the other side. But, who knows? Maybe they'll get to Herbert today a little bit. But I'd probably just stick with what you have then with Smoot.
Yeah, Everson Griffin's probably the best. With Fowler coming back, I'd be a little weary, but Everson Griffin is a decent play as well. With Daniel Hunter out, he probably will be the leading the charge there. But he does have 5 sacks this year, so
yeah, he's had a good year.
Yeah, Smoot's been hot. I think you can ride that. They both got good matchups and teams that like to go to the running back a lot, though. So against Indy and the Chargers, so he's going to be having. Yeah, I think I'd probably go ahead and stick with Smoot, just riding the hot streak. But Everson Griffin may be, he's not a bad play, and he may be good, down the stretch if Smoot decides to cool off.
So Marcos Valdez is asking. It's actually a 2-part question here. It's a half PPR league, and he wants to know Godwin, Kirk, or Mike Williams, and he's also starting Keenan Allen.
Godwin.
Yeah, if Godwin's a go, I'd play him in this situation. If you're worried about the injury, then I'd go with Mike Williams because the Vikings secondary has not been good since Patrick Peterson has been out in that situation.
Yeah, if Godwin's healthy and playing, you gotta go with him. I definitely wouldn't feel great about starting both Chargers wide receivers. That's a personal philosophy. That's just unless you're forced into it, it feels yucky because especially if they both like somehow don't have a great game. It's just like so yeah, it seems like Godwin's gonna play. I don't know. I think they just kind of took him easy through the week in practice, but it sounds like he should be fine for the game. So probably Godwin. And yeah, Kirk with Kyler not at quarterback, he's not the number one option this week, right? With AJ Green, and do we know Hopkins is?
Sounds like he's not playing.
He's not playing. Okay.
Early this morning, that's what they were leaning, that him and Kyler were probably both not playing. I haven't seen an update since we're on the show, but yeah, I do like Kirk. It's just I don't know what Colt McCoy. I think they're gonna be running to Connor a lot, even Benjamin, but Godwin's the play if he's a go.
Yeah,
so especially with Antonio Brown's still out.
And his second question is Patterson or Dearness Johnson?
That's a tough one.
C-Pat, baby.
Patterson.
He's been like the fantasy MVP outside of Derrick Henry. If you could start him at both positions,
yeah,
you got to roll with him. Yeah, I mean, I know we saw Dearness have a huge game last time he was the starter. I just small sample size. We've seen Patterson be pretty dang consistent through most of the year, so I'm gonna take the consistent points there.
And Johnson's the only running back in Cleveland pretty much today, other than a couple other fullbacks. So it makes it tough.
I know it's tough, but that's
Yeah, they did elevate Brian Hill, but I don't think that really matters a ton. Yeah. But I did, after Chubb was out, Dearness Johnson did get slotted up to RB14, but I do have Patterson at 10. He's just been lights out. Yeah. So Dearness Johnson can play over a lot of people for you, but I don't think you're sitting Patterson.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to is Patterson's been too good right now to sit, as much as I think that Dearness is going to have a really good day. Unless you can somehow get both of them in there, that would be my only other question. Can you slip both of them in your lineup somewhere?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Marcos, let us know who's in your flex position because Dearness might be a flex player for you. So if you would just put that in the comments below, and we'll touch on that again.
Matchup wise too, I mean, Patterson's, they got the Cowboys. That's got 55 point over under, so expected to be a shootout versus going to New England as a very doesn't have a ton of carries under his belt, playing in New England at only a 45 point over under. So the matchup gives you some hints there too, about at least who's the safer play.
So Jan is asking, pick 3: Gallup, Stevenson, Van Jefferson, Cole Beasley, or Christian Kirk.
Yikes!
Wow. Right, just off the top of my head, I go Beasley, Van, and Stevenson in that. With Harris out in New England, I think Stevenson has a good game if he's playing. But Beasley is a target machine. Van Jefferson slides in probably this week at least, with a good week.
Yeah, so Stevenson got cleared to play, so I think I'm going Van Jefferson and Stevenson for sure. Yep. But I would consider Kirk with Beasley. I think Beasley is a target hog, but you could get 6 catches for 45.
Last week it was 8 for 33 or something like that.
There you go. But I think Beasley's a safe play. He'll get your targets, but if Kirk's got a little more big playability. So he could hit what Beasley does on 3 or 4 catches. I'm weary of Colt McCoy though, so Beasley's your safe play there. Van Jefferson and Stevenson for me for sure, and then on the fence with Beasley and Kirk as a safe / boom bust option.
Yeah, I think we're all out on Gallup, right? Coming back, you got to see what his role is going to be once he's back. So don't want to, especially with those other options being more proven this year. So yeah, for me, I guess Stevenson, Beasley, and I'll say give me Christian Kirk on that one for the third option.
So Marcos got back to us, and he said he's starting Eckler and Taylor. So there's no room for
lineup. Jeez. I think I'll go Patterson then.
Definitely.
unless you can shove Patterson in as a wide receiver.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
Yep.
It sounds
Now
like
tell us your wide
sounds like
receivers, Marcos.
sounds like Marco's got a pretty solid team here, and
Yeah, this sounds like
he's probably got Cup and Devontae Adams or something as well. So
That guy laughing in the background. Hey, look at him.
yeah,
guys, I'm like undefeated, and I really need a tough decision here for Patterson or Johnson. Help me out.
We were talking at the beginning of the show about the teams that you're like, who do I even play anymore at wide receiver? And this guy, he's the guy that's undefeated.
That's awesome. Good team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you're in a good spot.
yeah.
So Smokey Claw is asking, what do you think about Micah Parsons in the tackle-heavy leagues? He may be a lot of edge with Randy Gregory out.
I think he's still got to play him. I think he's still got to play Parsons either way. He's all over the field, and I think they might try to throw him at edge a little bit, but they had to have seen how he's literally sideline to sideline, up and down the field. He's all over the place. So if you I think he had 2 sacks last week, even from middle linebacker. So you got to play him, but it sucks. It might temper his tackles a few, but he's too good, and he's all over the field. Yeah,
I mean, he's coming into his own here. I think when we saw that earlier in the season, on side note on Randy Gregory, I wish this guy could just stay healthy. He's a really good player when he can stay healthy, and finally seems to have a lot of his issues behind him. I was stashing him in a ton of places, like just very annoying that he can't stay healthy. And when we saw that early in the year, right? Yeah, they were sticking Parsons playing, much more consistently on the D line, which really tanked his production. But I think now they've realized, like, we need to have this guy, everywhere we possibly can, and stopping the run and doing a little bit of everything, not being resigned to a single position on the field. So hopefully they've learned and figured that out and are gonna, just put him in to rush the passer situationally, and more keep him in that traditional linebacker role. So that's what we're gonna hope for. And like I said, I think we saw what happened earlier in the year when they tried to just have him on the D line. And he was okay, but it didn't produce like we've seen him these past couple of weeks. So hopefully they realize that, like we all do. But coaches seem to like to cut off their nose, spite their face sometimes. So I think he's still a locked in starter, tackle heavy, sack heavy, whatever it may be. He's locked in as a starter for fantasy.
So Triggerfinger's back, and now to offense. Pick one as a flex: Alex Collins, AJ Dillon, or Christian Kirk.
Give me Kirk. I'm not a Collins fan. He seems like a touchdown or bust type guy. And Dillon is just way too inconsistent right now. So I would take Kirk out of those three.
Go ahead, Clinton.
Go ahead. Yeah, man, to me, geez. I like Alex Collins, and I actually like with Wilson back. I think that changes the run game for them a little bit, and they might have some bigger runs in there just because they'll be playing off the pass. And Dillon's been really good lately, though, when they in the spots that they've played him, but he has to get a touchdown to be worthwhile. So to me, it's between Collins and Kirk. If you trust that Kirk's going to have a good game if Colt McCoy's your quarterback, then, it seems like we've had a lot of questions with him in it today. I like him. But I'd play Collins personally, if Colt McCoy's quarterbacking today.
Yeah, I'm with Clinton there. If with Colt McCoy quarterbacking and then Russell Wilson coming back, it should open the pass game a little bit, but also it's pretty snowy in Green Bay, and Wilson kind of rushed back off his injury, and it being his finger, I could see them really grounding and pounding. I don't love Collins personally, like Steve was saying, he's kind of touchdown or bust, but I could see him getting upwards of 20 carries, and if that's the case, I can see him getting the touchdown. So I've got Collins as a low 2 high flex play, but
and the Packers allowed the third most points to running backs.
And then if Kyler was playing, I'd be saying Kirk probably, no doubt. But with Colt McCoy, I don't know how much he can play into Kirk's explosiveness and stuff. So I'm gonna play Collins there.
So Dalton and Riley Gaming has asked us 3 questions. So we'll knock all 3 of them out here. First one is pick one. It's a non-PPR league. Kenneth Gainwell, Jamison Crowder, or Deontay Harris?
None. Probably Harris, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give me Harris, baby. Go have some fun with those. Whenever you're dealing with options like that are just bleh, go with the guy who, if he has an amazing deep play, you're going to be cheering and hooting and hollering. So, give me the fun guy there, which would be Harris. Crowder probably the safest for it, but
obviously he doesn't have a lineup like Marcos does.
Yeah,
with, Taylor
Ooh.
and Eckler, Patterson.
Yeah, it's hard to play Gainwell, especially he looked so good with Miles Sanders, but then Sanders goes down, and then it's a 3 running back committee and not Gainwell. So it sucks we can't play Gainwell, and PPR takes a lot away from Crowder. So I'm going with the like Santa said, the fun play. You gotta hope for a big play out of Deontay Harris.
Don't get me started on the Eagles. It's so annoying.
So, question number 2 out of 3. Pick one: D-Hop, Jamison Crowder, or Deontay Harris?
So it doesn't sound like D-Hop's going to play, sadly. So, Harris.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. You just got to watch. I mean, obviously, if D-Hop does play, you play him. But if he doesn't, go with Harris.
Yep.
So this actually looks like the same question. No PPR, Jamison Crowder, Deontay Harris, D-Hop. And so I'm guessing that's the same question.
Yeah, unless we missed the PPR part or something. But I guess, if one of them was PPR, I could see why Crowder would be in there. But even then, it's not fun.
Yeah, Harris with no PPR. But if you had a PPR, I'd be playing Crowder there. If your question is PPR, Crowder, Harris. But with none, big play, you got to go big plays.
So Jan is asking, Rodgers or Wentz?
Rodgers. It's hard to trust Wentz. So he's been decent though, like fantasy wise. But
yeah,
well, I guess you said it was snowing, but it doesn't.
He's obviously thinking of the matchup and the weather conditions, I guess. Unless it's windy. So this is something I read about too. Like snow doesn't really affect the passing game as much as people think. It's wind. So if it's snowing and windy, that might want to think about pivoting to Wentz. But if it's just snowing, go with Rodgers and don't even think twice about it. I get it. Wentz with the matchup looks pretty juicy, but as an Eagles fan, knowing Wentz, it's hard to trust him. So especially if it's Rodgers. So as long as it's not windy, I think it was over 15, 20 miles an hour winds. Rodgers will be just fine.
So Rodgers even missed a week or more than a week. Is that playing into this at all, or is he just going to jump back in and pick up where he left off?
He might come out with wanting to throw him.
Yeah, he shouldn't skip a beat.
Yeah, feeling a little rusty, but no, I mean Rodgers. I don't think that makes a difference at all.
He was probably running 2-minute offense in his living room for the past 10 days or whatever it was.
Throwing dump offs to Joe Rogan.
Scott Temple is asking, Johnson or Robinson, need one for PPR?
Which one?
E. Johnson.
I think I'm assuming that's Dearness.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
And Robinson still. James, I'm assuming also.
Is he playing? Is he back?
Yeah, that's what it sounds. Let me see if there's any updates on
I think early in the week they said he was supposed to play this week.
I think I saw game time decision.
Sure. I'd still go Dearness in that situation.
15 minutes ago, will play today.
Okay. I think I'd still go Dearness today. I think he's going to get 20 series. But.
Yeah, if Robinson's banged up in a game time, there's
a concussion, right?
There's a heel injury.
Oh, heel. That's what
he could come out in the middle of the game. He's definitely going to be splitting work with stupid Hyde. So between those two, I would go Johnson for this week.
Yeah. I've got Johnson one spot higher coming with James Robinson coming off that injury. He'll probably be splitting with Hyde, and they've got the Colts. So Bobby Okereke and Leonard will probably be just eating him alive.
Yeah.
So I'd play Dearness Johnson.
Nice.
Yeah, the Colts are like they're one of the best teams against the run. It's hard to play running backs against them.
All right. Marco is asking Prescott or Bridgewater?
Prescott.
Yeah.
He had a bad week last week, but that's just kind of an anomaly. You got to play Dak as a top option.
I think they come back pretty big this week. I think he has a pretty big week this week. 303 touchdowns, 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think we're looking at.
Yeah, hopefully he's fired up after the terrible performance.
There's no way he's going to not bounce back after an embarrassment of last week. They should have handled the Broncos.
And against Atlanta, too. Atlanta at home. I know it was Denver at home, but back-to-back home games, I don't think they're going to put up 2 stinkers to 2 inferior opponents. So, yeah, Dak easily.
Go ahead, Logan.
I think I've seen something about it's been since like 2017 maybe since the Cowboys have lost back-to-back home games too.
Oh damn.
So, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, they're probably gonna put a whooping on.
If not a shootout, that might be a fun game to actually watch.
Yeah,
It's the
hopefully.
new game, right?
Yeah. So I have a personal question for my own lineup, and I'm trying to figure out, do I start DeAndre Swift or Stephon Diggs in my flex? And this is PPR.
What kind of league is this one?
Yeah, 8-man league. What do we got here? Wow. Oh, Swift with no Jamal Williams, he's going to be on the field hopefully for most of the snaps. So he feels like the play to me. Diggs has been underperforming all year. I don't know if it just magically fixes itself. And the Jets have surprisingly been a terrible matchup for wide receivers because they get smashed in the run game and nobody needs to pass against them. So, and then, the Lions are likely going to get crushed by the Steelers, even despite Rudolph starting. So yeah, I'm leaning Swift there.
Yeah, I would go Swift as well. For some reason, it's hard to play wide receivers against the Jets because they get so run over. So Zach Moss and Singletary probably both pretty good plays, to be honest, this week. Good low end twos, good flexes. Like if you're kind of weary about plugging and playing, I'd plug them. But yeah, Swift's probably going to get plenty of catches once they're kind of behind, and with Williams out, yeah. Swift should not take any hit to his workload.
Yeah, so I got actually very lucky in this league because I had first pick, so I went ahead and took McCaffrey, but he was injured for a while. And then I also drafted Swift and Mike Davis. But luckily I dropped Mike Davis after like the first week and picked up Patterson. So I literally have 3 top 10 running backs in this lineup. And then Cooper Kupp and Godwin as well. So my offense is pretty much set. My QB's a little lacking, so I'm hoping Kirk Cousins can go off today against the Chargers.
Is Marcos your burner account?
Yeah, we need to have you play against Marco's team.
Yeah.
I'd go Swift there too. Both matchups are not ideal, but he's going to get receptions. He's going to run. The Bears actually did a decent job running on Pittsburgh, I thought. Montgomery had a pretty good game. And so, Swift's, as much as it was 2 weeks ago, we thought, with Williams out or, everybody was big on Swift and he didn't do anything or something. That Jamar Jefferson got the touchdown or something like that. But I still think Swift's probably going to get 5 or 6 catches at least.
Hopefully this is his gigantic breakout game. And I think it could happen against Pittsburgh despite the defense. Because like you said, yeah, you can run on them. We've seen that. And you can score on them. They're more that bend, don't break type defense. But I would love to see a DeAndre Swift just massive breakout game for the season here. So, yeah, you got to go Swift, I think.
So Nate is asking, for his home league, Hines or Elijah Moore in a flex position?
I'm going to go Hines because I think they said they're going to rotate the receivers for the Jets. So I think they're all just kind of low end flex plays, Corey Davis, Crowder, and Moore, with Moore probably having the most upside, just being the most explosive. But against the Jags, I think we see what we saw with the Colts on Thursday night last week. Hines had 6-7 carries and also like 4 or 5 receptions, and he had some big plays obviously to get him a ton of points, but I could see that happening against the Jags. I'm gonna go Hines here.
Yeah, I think I'd start Hines there. Although Moore, man, that he looked good that one, a couple of weeks ago at that primetime game they had where Mike White went down or whatever. But yeah, I think I'd stick with Hines, just safe, a little more safe probably. But if you want to risk, put Moore in. He could have another couple touchdowns, but they have a tough matchup too.
Yeah, I'm going YOLO on Elijah Moore. Fitzmagic is no more. It's now Mike White magic time. If he stays healthy the whole game, I think he's got the rapport with Moore. He's like his favorite target, probably because they were practicing and playing together a lot in the off season and camp and all that. So I know it's a horrible matchup. All the data metrics would tell you to play Hines, so I'm gonna go with Moore just to spit in the face of that.
That's how fantasy football has been the last couple of weeks. You just play the guy you don't think you should have played.
Yeah, go with the opposite.
So play Bridgewater over Prescott this week.
Yeah.
So is Mike White? Is he the guy to go to in New York now? Do you think, or do you think he just had a couple games? Now teams have film on him, and they're going to start figuring him out here.
I don't know. He seems like he has that factor where he can, he'll be a good quarterback. We've seen a very small sample size, obviously, but it was fun to watch, and I was excited that Thursday night, and then he got hurt. To see more of him, on primetime, to see what he would do. Obviously, I'm not sitting around watching Jets games. But, I don't know. I think he's their quarterback. I think in the offseason they'll have a competition if he's still there. Obviously they spent way too much capital on Wilson, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I think White starts until Zach Wilson either really shows up in practice and just blows them all away and takes it back, or Mike White really loses it. But I think they're going to ride Mike White for now, and he fits into that. I saw a report that they said that the offense that Mike White was kind of running is more what they wanted to, but Wilson's just a gunslinger. So I think they're going to roll with White, and he's got plenty of options with Carter's a good receiving back, and then Ty Johnson's actually doing well out of the backfield as the second guy, and then Moore and Crowder both, all over the field underneath, and he's got the weapons to continue that offense and play pretty well. I think and like Clinton said, he just looks like he's pretty smart. Like he knows the offense and he knows where he wants to go with the ball. And he's fun. He's kind of fun to watch, to be honest. So
he feels like Fitzmagic Jr., man. I love it. I love a story like that. So, oh boy, my dogs are barking. Yeah.
So AWM is asking, whose outlook do you like more as a fantasy asset, Elijah Moore or Bateman?
Bateman for me.
Yep.
He came in as my wide receiver 2 in the class behind Chase, and I think they brought him in to Baltimore because they wanted him to be a true alpha. And I think for some reason they didn't have him on the field a ton through the first half of the game, but when he had 5-6 less targets than Marquise Brown, and on the same number of catches, he had like 50 more yards. So he's the alpha there going forward, I think, or should be at least. And yeah, Hollywood, I think should thrive in that 2 spot. But yeah, Bateman going forward, and Lamar Jackson's been passing well and throwing more and more. So I think you're looking at a legitimate, like at week in, week out, wide receiver 2 with Bateman going forward, with Moore still a little boomer bust. I'd be curious. Like Santa said, he's got the rapport with Mike White, and that seems to be his favorite target. But or maybe Clinton said that. But yeah, Elijah Moore's a little more boom to bust for me. I think Bateman's going to start commanding real targets, as a more traditional 8-yard in, hitting those, racking up catches and racking up decent mid to higher yards there.
Yeah, I fully agree with Bateman all the way. You're just going to see consistency out of him. Plus, yeah, I watched him play at the U of M, Minnesota for
That's right.
the whole time. So I'm a homer. So I'll never say not Bateman.
Yeah, same. I think if we're talking dynasty or rest of the season, I definitely think it's Bateman there.
All right, Scott Temple is asking JOK or Littleton.
You got to play
these are
Littleton
tough.
this week
Yeah.
and watch how Joke comes back. But I really like Joke for the beginning of the season and stuff. I think you got to play Littleton this week for now and just see how that role sorts itself out in Cleveland in the middle again.
Yeah, Walker's been healthy. It really stinks that JOK went down. But yeah, same with a healthy Walker. I think his upside is a little bit limited, and he kind of shifts into that big play or bust type role. JOK does, whereas Littleton should, although he kind of has been very bad with the Raiders. He should have that sort of safer tackle floor. So I think this week you roll out Littleton and just kind of keep tabs on JOK on the snap counts and the production and moving forward, it could be JOK, but for this week, Littleton, yeah, for me.
Michael is asking Curl or Bynum.
That's a tough one too. Bynum, what did he just break out? Clinton. Yeah. Okay. Oh God, 98%. Yeah. So Bynum just had his breakout. Do we know, was that due to like other injuries or like why? Where? Because he kind of just came out of nowhere last week. Bynum did.
Harrison Smith was out, but I don't.
Okay.
That's the Bynum he's talking about? Yeah. I mean, he had if that's who he's referencing, I guess the Minnesota Bynum. Yeah, he had a pick. I think like in the first couple of series, and and he's in there again this week. I did stash him in a league, mostly because I just know who he is, and he's going to play. The Chargers are going to be throwing on the Vikings. Another offset chance of a pick. I don't know how much he played up though. I think he mostly played that Smith role too, where but him and Xavier Woods seemed like a good tandem last week. I don't know much about Curl, to be honest. So, I mean, I'm if it's my league, I'm playing Bynum.
Yeah, it looks like he had 12 tackles and a pick last week, but that was a long overtime game. So, I mean, we say this a lot, but I feel like it's another one of those. Bynum seems to maybe have the higher ceiling with the potential for some of those big impact plays. I don't know that the tackles will necessarily be there again, whereas Curl seems to be consistently getting the tackles. So if you're in a tackle heavy league, I might lean towards Curl because we don't know if Bynum was sort of this 1 week wonder who just capitalized on a very long overtime game. So yeah, that would be my thoughts. If you're a more conservative risk taker, I would play Curl. If you want to go for the moon, maybe throw Bynum in there. Because yes, it looks like I guess Harrison Smith is going to miss this week again as well. So Bynum will be on the field, but we just don't know whether this was a 1 week wonder or not. Whereas Curl is kind of proving it. So that would be my take, leaning Curl.
Yeah, I'm going Curl probably based on his safer floor, and they both got pretty good matchups. Curl's got Tampa.
Right.
They love to throw, so he should be plenty busy. But yeah, Bynum is if with Harrison Smith out, Bynum is not a bad play. The Chargers will be, they'll be in the air for sure. And Eckler in the screen game will get outside. We'll get into the secondary, I'm sure, and force Bynum to make tackles. If you're kind of chasing points though with Bynum. I'd love to see him do it again. If he does it again, and then Smith is out further, I love it. But 1 week is a hard sample size, whereas Curl, he's been averaging like 7-ish tackles every week. He's your play there. But if you like Steve said, you want to shoot for the moon, Bynum could get you a pick or two with Herbert slinging it, and yeah, got a good ceiling.
All right, guys. Before we go into the last 4 questions here, I just wanted to bring up one thing. IDP guys is running this awesome deal right now where it's $9.99 to the end of the football season. So if you are on the bubble for your playoff, are you looking to win your fantasy football league? Check out this $9.99 deal by going to idpguys.org, and then you'll have full access to our website, and then you'll also be able to pick our brains as well. So let's move on to the next question here. Ricardo's asking, Moss, Gibson, or Carter half PPR?
Gut reaction, I like Carter. Again, not a great matchup, but if they're going to be behind, and White, we saw what his game was with a healthy full game of Mike White at QB the last time, dump off City. So Gibson is just can't trust him right now. And then Moss, we like the matchup, but that running game is incredibly unpredictable too. So Carter feels like both the safer floor and higher ceiling play for me.
Yeah, I would say it's between Carter and Gibson. I've got Gibson one spot higher this week, coming off the bye week. Hopefully he's healthy, and he should get more touches. The half PPR, if it was PPR, I think I'd go Carter, but the half PPR leans me back a little bit towards Gibson. But Carter should be plenty busy, but it's a tough matchup. Tremaine Edmonds is out though for the Bills, so he could have a little more success. I've got him at 15 and 16 though. So with half PPR, I think Gibson is guaranteed a little bit more touches and a little bit more touchdown upside.
Okay.
So I don't think you can go wrong. I think Carter does have a little bit higher ceiling because he could, if for some reason, if they get, real desperate, he could have upwards of 10 catches, being got Gibson a little bit safer floor based on the amount of touches, and they don't have great matchups either way. So, but Gibson a little safer floor.
Yeah,
All right.
I actually
ahead,
like
Glenn.
Carter. Yeah, that's fine. I like Carter in that situation as well. Gibson just hasn't. It's frustrating because he got drafted so high. But Carter looked good with White in there a couple weeks ago. I think we're going to see that again. I think we're going to see 6 to 8 catches from him. So, and you're in a half PPR. I like that. Both teams are probably playing from behind today, significantly, unless the Bills, go Jaguars again. But so we'll see. Yeah, I like Carter this week.
All right. So for these last few questions, let's make this just a speed round. Give your answer and we'll move on. All right. So AWM is saying, thanks, fellas. Last note, keep an eye out for Kenneth Murray. He's slated to play some edge today against Minnesota. Might have some upside given his struggles at middle linebacker. Agree or disagree?
Sure, why not?
Back on.
Yeah. Garrett is asking, Standard League pick 2, James Robinson, Stevenson, Zach Moss, or Jordan Howard?
Stevenson for sure, and then I think I'm riding out James Robinson.
I fully agree. That's the 2 I'd pick on that. Yep.
Give me Stevenson and good old Jordan Howard to follow
Jordan Howard
twice.
Standard League, Jordan Howard's intriguing.
All right, pick 1 for running back: Ingram, Carter, or Johnson?
Dearness.
I've got Dearness right ahead of Carter.
Wow, I'm going Carter.
Pick 1 wide receiver: Beasley, Renfro, Beckham.
Man.
Screw it, OBJ, baby. Let's have some fun. OBJ.
I'm going Beasley there. Although I do like Carr's matchup with Renfro this week, but I think I'm going to go Beasley.
I'm going with the matchup against my Chiefs. I've seen people underneath eat us alive.
Yeah,
so.
Renfro's going to have a good game, I think.
Yeah, Renfro's your safe play there.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Let everybody know where they can find you at, Clinton.
Yeah, all my work's at idpguys.org. Again, on Twitter at Clinton Holmgren. DFS work you can find. I do a DFS Minute article, YouTube video, and then we have me and Will from IDP Guys. We have a show on Wednesdays at 7:30 Central, a DFS show. Come check it out on Wednesday this week.
Yeah, sorry. You can find me at Sports Talk Smart on Twitter. You can also all my rankings and stuff are on IDP Guys, but feel free to hit me in the chat or message me on Twitter at me. I'll answer your questions and help you out.
Steve, let's finally get an introduction from you here.
All right. Yeah. I pretty much live on Twitter at Dynasty Santa. And all my work and stuff also on IDP guys, do some editing, some rankings, some social, and hopefully more writing here to come in the next off season and season.
Awesome. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter as well at Grant_Gillen. I'm not talking too much fantasy on Twitter. I'm more live tweeting the Browns games. So I'm always firing Joe Woods. Always fire Joe Woods. So we'll be back here next week, same time, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you guys have any questions, feel free to get us on Facebook. Find these guys on Twitter. And you can also find IDP guys on Twitter as well. You can leave questions there, and we'll try to help you as we can.
You want to answer that one last question?
With that being said, good luck everybody on their fantasy week 10. Does anybody have any closing statements?
There's one more question you want to answer real quick? Do a quick
Yeah,
one?
sure. Why not? Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Should I put Landry or Devontae Smith? PPR. Smith had 24 points last week.
I've got Devontae Smith one spot higher.
Yeah, I like Smith.
Nice. Smith.
I think, yeah, like Smith. I'm going Smith this week.
All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap it up. And I'll talk to you guys later this week.
See you.
Yep. Good luck, everybody.